When we started our trek towards the Himalayan ranges, towards the foothills of the Himalayas in the Kumaon region, it was a sunny afternoon and it was winter time, and at a height of 8,000 feet it got pretty cold, although the sun was shining. The sun gets quite hot in India, in the Himalayas, even though you're at a height of 8,000 feet. And we walked up the Pagdandis, the beaten paths, amidst the coniferous trees, dried leaves, and we kept walking. After some time, the driver who was with me, who drove me up to the place, rested at the dark bungalow, and I continued my journey. At the long shadows of the evening, sunset came and we kept walking. We had to reach a certain place, and I knew the area. By the time I'd reached that place, it was evening and the sun had set with the orange sky. It was Rudraprayag, the sacred and holy place, very dear to the sages of the fire mist, who still haunt the Himalayas with their love and spiritual blessings. Giving off their essence and sacrifice 18.5 million years ago, when the world cycle was at half its stage. The cycle had been completed, only half. It is called the Parardha. The sages of the fire mist entered our planet to give impetus and evolution to the true nature of our own beings. Call it the One, call it the Soul, call it the Atma, call it what you will. But the essential fact is that today the Hamsa will make an humble endeavor to give you the true nature of your being, which is non-being. And this is the story which links up with that. So as we went with our heavy coats and blankets, there was another troop of people, and they bifurcated to another side. I was alone on my side at the confluence of the Alaknanda river, which is very fast flowing, and the Mandakini river, which is a very gentle and slow river. They meet at the place of Rudraprayag. The places of Rudraprayag and Karnaprayag are in the Uttarakhand of the Himalayas, a spiritual place hallowed and blessed by these great masters who have gone before us in robes of light. And it is certain and definite that even great masters like Moses and Jesus went there and abided there to rest themselves and renew themselves for the further journey to the infinite. And that night was the night of the full moon. But the moon had not come up. It had become, there's a certain phase of darkness. And as I went to those rarefied areas, I found that I was losing self-sense. Why? But I was aware that I was losing self-sense, and yet I was not myself. I was losing another sort of self-sense, which was not myself. That was not myself. So I said, oh, most probably that must be the I-ness, the I amness, or the ego, which gives me the feeling that I am the body and not the soul. So I was losing the sense of myself being the body, but I was not losing the sense of my awareness as a boundless being. And as I sat and waited, the cold breeze started blowing, so we had the blanket around me, but still the priest used to get through some corner, some nook, some tunnel, some funnel. So he's feeling cold all the while, which was not conducive to get into a state of dhyan or samadhi, to contact your true self. But then even without that, even with all the distraction, there was the dissolution of this I-ness, the ego. And an automatic awareness came upon me, which was focusing on the confluence. And I thought to myself, but if I go into this, the confluence of the Alaknanda and the Mandakini, the fast rushing waters and slow, then I shall be baptized in the eternal spirit and waters of the sages of the ages. And as soon as I said that, the waters were a deep shimmer, sometimes deep scarlet, sometimes lilac, sometimes green. I don't know where these colors played from, but they were definitely not my imagination, because reflecting from the snows, certain auras, I began to feel that they are imaginary. And then through that imagination of mine, which was thoughtless, the imagination was not mine, but the awareness was there. I cannot explain, because I was out of my mind. I had no quality of mind stuff in me, and therefore I had no thoughts. I'm sorry if I cannot explain to you in the proper language, because language is disorganized. It sort of seems to melt in an experience which I cannot tell you. So language is very inadequate, and especially the English language, or the American English language, which is very young, and it's still adding words to its vocabulary. So therefore it is very difficult to explain an experience which is spirito-ethereal or something, or whatever it is. I can only send across to you the flavor and the colors, but not the words, because there are none. Thinking it to be imagination, and then a formation of light occurred coming from the other side, seeming to be a presence of being. I thought that light again was something which I had never seen, and yet was very familiar to me. And this light came across the water, and it dipped into the water. It was an electric lilac, sort of whirlpool of light. It was going like an aurora borealis, like the northern lights. So then I rubbed my eyes, and I said, okay, it's beautiful to take this light in the third eye right here. The electric lilac is a very precious color. The opal light, it became opalescent and electric lilac. If you can see electric lilac color in an opalescent, in an opal, that's the color. And I had an intense desireless desire. I had a desireless desire. Does that convey anything? Can that be understood or what? I don't think it can. Can it? Because if it's a desireless desire, then it's not a desire at all. I don't know, whatever it was, I felt like merging into this light with no effort of any material desire or craving, and just went into it. And that light dipped, the electric opalescent lilac light dipped into this great confluence of the rivers. And when I merged, I lost self-sense for just a fraction of a second, and the light came out. It was the form of one of the great Naths of all time. And he was bathing, and the moon was out. And I was sitting there huddled in my blanket. Suddenly I felt a warm glow rush up my body, and then I felt a cold glow rush down my body, as though somebody is revamping me or cleansing me with hot water and cold water, an internal bath, as though I was having an internal bath. And then I tried to get up.